The natural world has its funereal side. There can be no life without death. So some animals must take on the solemn role of morticians, undertakers, and gravediggers. Some make bodies disappear, while others strip their flesh to the bone, and others store them as food for themselves or for their offspring. Another type of gravedigger doesn't bury bodies in the ground, but vegetables that sprout into new plants and trees. Whatever the modus operandi of these wild morticians, they all play an important role in the cycle of life and death. Because buried underground, life flourishes. Death inevitably catches an undertaker's attention. Seemingly out of nowhere, vultures arrive on the scene. Thanks to their powerful eyesight, they can spot a corpse at great distances, and gliding on thermals, arrive as effortlessly as they do quickly. But these funereally dressed arrivals come not to a wake for the dead, but to a banquet. Vultures don't bring their condolences, just their hunger. Their appearance may seem designed for the occasion, and indeed it is. Everything about it has a purpose. Their long necks and sharp beaks allow them to gain access to the body and gut it. What's more, the baldness of their heads and necks avoids feathers from becoming matted with blood and rotting meat. As if that were not enough, they also need to be tolerant of all types of dangerous bacteria. As a result of their diet, vultures have evolved resistance to a wide variety of harmful microorganisms. The acid in their stomachs is so corrosive that it can dissolve bacteria, viruses, and toxins produced by rotting corpses. So they also prevent environmental pathogens from being dispersed. Despite their morbid reputation, their work in keeping their habitat clean and hygienic and maintaining the health of the environment is essential. And they also have other happier responsibilities. Griffon vultures nest on cliffs in large colonies. Perched on the rocky ledges, hungry chicks wait. Their parents divide the responsibility for their offspring equally. They take turns in filling their crops with carrion. It may look like an unappealing meal, but thanks to the proteins it provides, the baby vultures grow strong and vigorous. For now, parental care is essential for their survival. But when they grow up, they themselves will be the guardians of death. In Africa, vultures compete with other animal undertakers. The mortuary business is not an easy one. Spotted hyena are well-known scavengers. They can locate cadavers up to 4 kilometers away thanks to their highly developed sense of smell. Another strategy is simply to observe where their neighbors gather. The vultures arrive first at the banquet, but they have no choice but to give way to the hyenas. He who laughs last, laughs longest. Hyenas often hunt, but eating carrion has several advantages, not least saving energy and avoiding possible injuries. But on occasions, even scavenging has its dangers. It takes the whole of the numerous clan to keep a lioness at bay. Even so, when matters get complicated, stealing part of the loot and escaping out of reach is a good option. Discretion is often the better part of valor. The best option is simply to eat as quickly as possible before neighboring predators arrive. Unlike lions and vultures, hyenas don't fight among themselves over food. Despite their irritable reputation, nothing is further from the truth. Perhaps they are painted as villains for stealing from more majestic animals, but in reality, hyenas are very intelligent and social and perform a very noble ecological function. As consumers of carrion, they are a crucial link in the food chain. The funerary service they provide helps eliminate the dead from the habitat, recycling organic matter in the process. Other animals go as far as digging a grave for their prey. It would appear that someone's funeral is about to take place. This gravedigger has a classical look, long-legged and lantern-jawed, jaws which serve it well for digging in the sandy soil. Once the grave has been dug, it remains only to find the victim. A grasshopper. It's been stung, not to kill it, but to paralyze it. The grasshopper's macabre fate soon becomes clear. The sand wasp must, whatever it takes, bury its victim alive. Only in this case will it serve the insect's purpose. Once the wasp deposits its eggs in its victim, the tomb is sealed, as is the grasshopper's fate. A paradoxical cemetery from which life will emerge. After a few days, the eggs hatch. The victim cum nursery is still fresh, and the wasp larvae eat it alive from the inside. Such nutritious food allows them to develop quickly. And before long, they emerge again, this time from underground, now as adults. The sand wasp must bury its prey alive if its offspring are to survive. In the game of life, there is little time for compassion. But not all gravediggers are so pitiless, as a direct consequence of their diet. In autumn, squirrels are faced with their eternal dilemma: to eat or not to eat their precious nuts. In times when food is plentiful, they can either feed or prepare for colder times. Burying fruit is a well-thought-out investment, a warranty to help withstand the winter. But this behavior is far more complex than it seems. Squirrels are able to detect and select which fruits are most nutritious or perishable. Then, instead of keeping them all together, they spread them out to avoid large losses. They have even been shown to bury them in order to deceive thieves who may be watching. At other times, they will bury their loot in open spaces. These may be more exposed to predators, but there is less chance of being burgled. Hiding the nuts is a highly developed strategy. But when the time comes, how do the squirrels find them? They certainly use their sense of smell. But they also use landmarks. And this use of visual reference is not the only technique. When they bury their booty, the squirrels organize it by size and type within a certain area, which makes finding the desired food easier. Thanks to their prodigious memory, squirrels can create a mental map that helps them recover about 90% of their buried treasure. The nuts that are not dug up can germinate and, in time, grow into majestic trees. Without a doubt, these victimless burials are key to the survival of the forest. Indefatigable and all but ubiquitous ants are also essential. Red ants work tirelessly in the undergrowth to build and maintain their monumental nest of leaves and sticks. They build their home facing the sun. It's crucial that it achieves the correct temperature for the growth of the colony. Within their tunnels and chambers, ant larvae grow, and the different castes are housed. This well-appointed skyscraper is also a mausoleum. Anthills are not just nests where life begins, but also grim catacombs full of corpses. Generally, it is the workers that forage in search of food near the nest. They hunt invertebrates and, as voracious scavengers, take advantage of any cadaver they might come across. They surround their victim. And either transport it whole or cut it into small pieces. The objective is clear. Not a single piece must be left outside the anthill. Storing these corpses is tremendously important for the ants, as they provide food for the entire colony. The frantic, ceaseless activity of ants plays an important ecological role for the forest. First, they help to eliminate insect infestations. Then, by removing earth when building their anthills, they offer ideal habitats, including tunnels, galleries, and organic matter for the proliferation of other organisms. And inside these strange catacombs, the dead give life to the living. For other animal gravediggers, food drops from the skies. In tropical rainforests, the agouti, with its sensitive hearing, can detect fruit falling from trees. As soon as they hear the appropriate noise, they track through the leaf litter until they find its source. On slender legs, they move on tiptoe so as not to attract the attention of predators. After any danger has passed, it's time to enjoy a reward. Thanks to their sharp incisors, agoutis can open shells that would be impenetrable for most animals. A delicious delicacy is within reach. But sometimes it's better to defer the pleasurable moment and plan ahead. Like squirrels, agoutis bury their bounty in the ground as a fallback for when food is short. But it's not as easy a task as it might seem. Thieves wait close by. So most of the time, they don't eat the fruit where they find it, but rather bury it somewhere else, hopefully safe from theft. Even so, the sequence of robberies continues, and the seeds are carried further and further from their place of origin. Forgotten seeds will then germinate and grow away from the overpowering shadow of their mother tree. Without competition or restriction, the alma mater's offspring will grow and expand the species empire. And so agoutis are key workers in the process of seed dispersal. Without these burials, the jungle itself would be in danger of dying. Meanwhile, the snow has piled up in the boreal forests. It's the time for a very special kind of undertaker. A wolverine heads out into the white world in search of food. Unlike bears, wolverines do not hibernate and so need to keep feeding. Luckily, wolverines are hardy and can withstand the cold. This is the largest of all mustelids and is impressively strong. It also has a famously voracious appetite. Its name in Latin, gulo gulo, simply means glutton. Wolverines waste no time with fancy diets and are constantly on the lookout for the next meal. Although they can hunt prey up to 5 times their size, like deer and elk that have been trapped in the snow, they also eat carrion, especially when the cold weather intensifies. So when winter takes another victim, this insatiable eater does not hesitate to take advantage of the opportunity. Feeding on corpses is surely an easy task, but this is only true as long as a horde of hungry crows isn't on the prowl. Even so, the crow's sharp beaks are not a threat to the sturdy wolverine. But just in case, it's sometimes better to hide your food where no one else can find it. And for that purpose, what better than to dig a grave? When food abounds, leftovers are buried under the snow. blanket of white acts like a natural freezer, preserving and protecting the food from insects, infection, and thieves. When resources become scarce, these wild pantries are essential for the survival of the species. Females begin breastfeeding in early spring, and without these food reserves, the new generation of young could die. Tragically, human-driven climate change is a great threat to such species. If the snow continues to disappear, food cannot be stored, and birth rates will plummet. For wolverines, like all species, continued survival depends on the fine balance between what lives and what dies, and what is buried in the earth.